Talking with the experts.
In episode 391, Carolyn Apostolou describes how we can learn how to boost our energy, focus and health and feel revitalised.
My clients, I think one of the quickest ways that we can de-escalate our stress levels is to be outdoors in nature. If you've got 5 minutes, if that's okay, just go with the time that you've got available. If you're anywhere near the beach, I know for me, gosh, if I get my feet in the sand and in the water, that is a massive reset. For me, that's a really great way that if I'm feeling overwhelmed and stressed out, that can just reset my whole body clock, which is amazing. If you've got a pool at home, maybe that could work for you. Even just get your feet out of your shoes and onto the grass and just grounding with the earth. That can also be a really good way to reset. Or just take some deep breaths outside in the fresh air.
Talking with the experts.
Talking with the Experts would love to acknowledge Global Glamping Charities Incorporated for generously supporting this podcast. Global Glamping Charities, solving homelessness in all of its forms. Reach out to them at globalglamping.org.
Welcome to Talking with the Experts. This is where we discuss great ideas to take your business to the next level. How do we know these ideas work? Well, it's because we're talking with business owners who are using these ideas. Business owners who have years of experience and expertise. All things business by business owners for business owners. And now, here is your host, Rose Davidson.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm your host, Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners. You can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. Today, my guest is, who is it? Carolyn Apostolou. I hope you said that's correct. Right. Very nice Greek name.
That's it.
And Carolyn is a health and wellness coach, and she helps her clients to look and feel revitalised, and she teaches them how to boost their energy, focus and health with some simple changes to their daily routines. And today we're going to be talking about health and wellness in business. Welcome, Carolyn, and thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Rose, so much for having me.
Now, tell me, how did you get into the health and wellness space?
Well, that is a good question. That kind of fell into my lap when I was at home with 4 young kids and I started to explore healthier options and things around the house. But I do have a background in psychology and I was a teacher for a long time. So imparting knowledge about health and wellness seemed very natural. So with a little bit of more training and accreditation under my belt, that is who I am today.
Oh, wonderful. It was a good way to get into it when you've got 4 young kids at home. Yes, you need to have a health and wellness strategy, I think, because otherwise you don't thrive, and the children get everything and you get nothing. So yeah,
correct, exactly.
So you work in the corporate space, and you are helping professionals and individuals as well as families. And you give them solutions. What types of solutions are you offering to people, Carolyn?
Well, usually I go into corporate workplaces. I'm really passionate about workplace wellbeing. So sometimes corporates, companies want sort of standalone sessions, and that could be on mental health or on sleep. And other times I run 4 to 6 week programs for their staff, looking at all things from hydration and the importance of good nutritional choices to movement. We talk a lot about stress and coping strategies and how to not feel so overwhelmed when you're in a really demanding job. So that when you do go home and you are with your family, you're not sort of short with them and losing your temper at them because you're just super exhausted. So, the programs are often very personalised to the companies. or also to the employees and what the companies feel are their biggest challenges. But they're generally all around health and wellness in that space. Yeah.
So have you found that that employers or corporations make the decision about the the types of things that their employees should be doing, or is there a survey type situation where employees are canvassed to find out what it is that they need?
I think, Rose, it's pretty stock standard. Most people, especially after the last couple of years of COVID and being locked down in Melbourne for so long, most workplaces are really on the front foot now at wanting to look after their staff. And I think they see the link between caring for their staff and looking after their staff and providing for their staff. That is going to help them in the long run with having less turnover of staff. And so if they can retain their key staff and really to feel more energized and be more productive in the workplace and just to be happier in general, that's going to be tenfold. That's going to be great for their business. So sometimes the companies have got a really clear idea of what's going on. Other times, yes, we've had employees give feedback on what would they like to be covered. Sometimes I plan for 4 sessions, but we've allowed 6, and so there's an open schedule for the last 2, and that can just to be decided on by the members.
Yeah, corporations have come a long way since I was in the corporate world.
They have, which is really, really great to see, actually, especially, like I said, after the last couple of years that have been really tumultuous for some. And I think also just moving back from working at home for so long, moving back to the office or having a hybrid situation and seeing how can we still engage our team if some people are working from home on days that other people are in the office. There's so much that we could talk about. Yes, so it's been great. It's been really good. It's a great.
I'm glad that things have changed. Carolyn, what are some of the strategies that people can implement to have a better wellness and mindset?
So I think what's really important is a morning routine. And people often say to me, I haven't got time for that. And I explain to them, 5 years ago, I also thought that I didn't have time for that, the alarm would go off, I'd fly out of bed, into the bathroom, be dressed, into the kitchen, making lunch boxes, get everyone to school, come back and fall in a heap. And I jumped on a 10-day challenge. It was online somewhere, and it was all about implementing a morning routine. I don't know why I thought that this would be something of interest. It was a free challenge. I thought, okay, I'm going to take part in it and see what's all the raving about having a morning routine. And so I just made some simple changes, and now I pass those on to my clients because now I wouldn't be without my morning routine. And it can be different for everybody, but for me, I find if I just get up half an hour, so 30 minutes before anybody in my house is awake, and that is my time. That's my only time on my own that's nice and quiet, and I can choose to do whatever I want to do. Now, some examples of things could be, if it's a lovely morning, to be out for a walk. Could do some gentle stretching. I could do an online yoga class. I might just journal my ideas that are in my head in the morning without any interruptions. Some mornings I just make a cup of tea and sit on the deck and just listen to the birds and just have quietness in the morning. As you can imagine, I've got a very busy household with 4 young kids, so it's pretty manic once they're all woken up. But for me, I find that has a massive flow-on effect for the rest of my day. And because I've had that 30 minutes of my own in the morning doing whatever I want to do, I just feel so much more energized that when I get into the kitchen and I'm making lunch boxes, I'm just I'm more friendly actually to the kids in the morning, and we're dropping to school and we're having lovely conversations, and I'm not kind of feeling like I'm burning the candle at both ends and I'm rushing from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. So for me, that's a massive tip, and definitely something that I really encourage a lot of my clients to do the same. The only thing I would say about that though, Rose, is some people really are not morning people and they don't want to carve out that time in the morning. And so we have flipped it to the evening for some of my clients. And that's when actually a brain dump of ideas in a journal before bed has got massive dividends for them, because they're not holding those ideas in their head and worrying about them, and they're actually able to sleep. So, if the morning routine is definitely not your thing and you think actually it would be better in the evening, I definitely encourage you to have some time in the day that's just wholly carved out for you.
Excellent. That's really good a really good tip. I think, especially the nighttime one. I think I might try that one. I'm always going to bed thinking how I'm going to plan my garden, or how I'm going to move the kitchen around, or I might actually start drawing pictures and think, yeah, that's going to work, or that won't work, or great idea. I like that.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you use a lot of NLP and timeline therapy in your corporate environment?
Not so much in our group sessions, but I do talk to them about my background and having training in that area. And I often use hypnosis with clients. So sometimes those corporate sessions bring on private clients. So sometimes the employee will have something that they don't really want to share in a group format, but something's been bothering them and they would like to do some private work with me. And that's usually the place where we'll do some timeline therapy to release some emotions that they may have had from a traumatic event. It could be a marriage separation. A lot of people use hypnosis now, or ask and request to use that with sleep and pain management. So yes, that's another area of my business that often doesn't come out actually in the corporate sessions, but we talk about it and people are really interested to learn more and to see how it can help them.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a great thing. I mean, it's timeline therapy obviously is a private sort of a thing, but I was sort of, I guess, in a group session you wouldn't be using that obviously, because it would be a little bit personal.
Yes.
But you could use hypnosis, I think, maybe in a group session.
Sometimes we do some guided meditation, which is sort of a opener into what hypnosis actually is. But gosh, I'm really always stunned at how many people have never listened to a meditation or an audio recording to help them to feel more calm, or to be, to do with goal visualization or anything like that. So gently introducing these ideas in the sessions can sometimes open a can of worms with participants, and they can then take on a lot of things and make them habits, which is really great.
Yeah, I love guided meditations. I tend to meditate a lot better if it's a guided one rather than trying to do it on my own, because my can't seem to calm my mind enough to do it. So but I absolutely love guided meditations. I should actually find some more to do, because they're really relaxing, and quite often I've gone to sleep halfway through.
Oh yes. Absolutely. Well, that's good. That's a sign of a really good one, Rose.
I guess so. Once you've discussed with the team members, stuff that they can do to have better health and wellness. How can they maybe transform this into a home life? What sort of strategies could they use at home other than the 30 minutes before everyone else? What other strategies are there?
Well, I pretty much teach them that self-care is not something that will just happen. It really needs attention. It needs to be scheduled. And a lot of people talk to me about how they want to become fit or they want to move their body. And I ask them, does it happen every week, or how do you make sure that it happens? And a lot of people just wing it, actually, to be honest. And I just encourage them to schedule it, because often when we put things on our schedule or in our diary, we're more likely to make them happen. If you know that you want to go for a walk, invite an accountability partner, invite a friend to meet you for that walk, because you are so much more likely to keep that appointment with that friend and actually make it happen than if you're just going to go for a walk by yourself and with the dogs, for example. So using your diary to not only schedule work commitments, but also to schedule in the self-care, that can be really important too.
Yeah, self-care is a really important thing, and I'm guilty of not scheduling it in and often enough. I'm a keyboard warrior. I tend to have spent a lot of time. It's wonder I haven't got square eyes of though, because I'm just staring at the screen most of the time. But yeah, getting up and just going for a walk around, even in the backyard, or going for just having a stretch for 5 minutes. That's all self-care. It doesn't have to be
absolutely doesn't have to be bubble baths and massages all the time. So I do teach that to my clients. I think one of the quickest ways that we can de-escalate our stress levels is to be outdoors in nature. If you've got 5 minutes, if that's okay, just go with the time that you've got available. If you're anywhere near the beach, I know for me, gosh, if I get my feet in the sand and in the water, that is a massive reset. For me, that's a really great way that if I'm feeling overwhelmed and stressed out, that can just reset my whole body clock, which is amazing. If you've got a pool at home, maybe that could work for you. Even just get your feet out of your shoes and onto the grass and just grounding with the earth. That can also be a really good way to reset. Or just take some deep breaths outside in the fresh air. And gosh, even going for a walk, I try to encourage people to go for a walk, even if it's just to the letterbox or around the block in between meetings. Can you do a walking meeting? That's another idea. But if you can be off your device and just actually smiling to people that you're passing in the street, gosh, you come back from that walk and you are re-energized. I can promise you that.
Yeah, I know that when I smile at people, if I'm feeling a bit
yes, exactly.
and I smile at somebody and they smile back, it makes me feel so much better. And
yeah,
and quite often I've made someone's day because I've noticed that they've got a nice necklace on or a nice top, or I love what they've done with their hair. And I often comment, and people think, my family thinks it's really weird, but it makes someone's day, and it
absolutely
makes me feel good because I've had the opportunity to better someone else's day.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So in a high-rise type building, I mean, I would encourage people, if they've got a place where there's an open space, to go and sit out there. I mean, most of them have a place where you can go and stand outside, but not in a dangerous situation, of course, but they have outside spaces. I
yes,
really
they do
encourage you to go and just even go there and and breathe in the air, because it's good for you. Fresh air.
Oh, it's so good. There's actually lots of pop-up green spaces happening around the city at the moment that I'm noticing too. They're not too far from people's workplace, so it's really important that they get up from their desk and they can get outside in the daylight, outside in the sunshine, just outside, like we said, just for a few deep breaths, to walk to a cafe, to grab some lunch and to come back. That's really very, very important.
Now, there's also, the 2 o'clock slump, between 2 and 4. I notice that even now at home, between 2 and 4, I get really, really tired. How can we overcome that slump? What strategies can we use to overcome it?
Well, I would say let's look at food. Let's look at what you're eating for lunch or eating for breakfast, because sometimes that can give us a downward spike of blood sugars, and that can make us feel like we're craving soft drink, or we're craving some chocolate or something to get us up and over the rest of the afternoon. If you can get up and get outside for a quick walk, that will re-energize you. So that would be another strategy. Drink lots of water. And by hydrating your body, you are having to get up and go to the bathroom, which is a really good thing, and you're getting rid of the toxic load in your body. So there are a few things that we can look at. I think also it's important to look at our sleep patterns and what time we're going to bed and how much are we sleeping every night, because often if we're not sleeping enough, that can really hit us at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The other key thing is, if we can be out in the morning, in the daylight, in the sunlight early, that actually has a flow-on effect later in the day, even though it seems a bit silly. But, at 7 a.m., if you can be outside in the sunshine, having a walk even for 20 minutes without your sunglasses on, letting all that natural daylight hit your body, that's going to be really great in the afternoon and then in the evening when it's time to go to bed. So just a few tips, but yeah, there's a few things to look at if you're really struggling in the afternoon.
Yeah, and what about brain fog? Because a lot of people get brain fog in the afternoons.
Yes.
They can't
think. Yeah, again, I'll be looking at the food because there is definitely certain foods and drinks that can do that to you by the afternoon. I often do talk to clients about supplements and what supplements are they taking, and are they good supplements or are they mediocre supplements, and can we improve what they're doing? So there is a great range that's out there at the moment, and sometimes it's a bit of a minefield, actually. It's too many options and people don't really know where to start. But I have a lot of my clients on a specific kind of supplement, and that does help a lot with energy levels and brain fog and deep sleep, so that they are feeling really alive when they're awake, and that gets their metabolism going really well, which is excellent.
Yeah, I might get off air and get that off you.
Absolutely.
I know a lot of people are challenged with being carers, as well as having a full-time job. What sort of self-care can they, implement to, because being a carer is a difficult job, especially if you've got someone that's got dementia or some sort of physical disability, plus having to work. So what kind of self-care things could they implement to, feel energized and not feel trapped, as so it were?
Yeah. And I think that's a great question, but it can really apply to anybody. And that is to make a list of your top 5 or your top 10 sort of dream activities, things that you love doing, that whenever you do them, you feel calm, or you feel just like you're really pouring into you. And here are some examples. I love to read, and people often say to me, gee, you are so busy. How on earth do you read a novel? And I say, well, it's something that I really, really love to do. And so when I get in bed at night, I'll always read a chapter. Sometimes it's 2 chapters, sometimes it's more than 2 chapters, depending on the book that I'm reading, or also how tired I am. Sometimes I can't keep my eyes open. So it is only 1 chapter, but reading for me is a big thing. A lot of people love gardening. A lot of people really find that that is something that they enjoy. They love seeing their garden flourish. They love cutting the roses from their garden, and that brings them a lot of joy. And so that could be something that you could do. It could just be walking or being out in nature. A lot of people find joy, and things that they love to do is having a great coffee at a lovely cafe and catching up with a friend. And friends just pour their energy into us. And so that could be something that they could do. So, yeah, my advice is to, make a list of your top things that you love to do and try to tick one off each day or a few off each week. Make it achievable, but definitely know what works for you. Just like when we look at ways to de-stress, things are different for everybody, and going for a run might be one person's way to de-stress. Cooking, a delicious dinner might be something for somebody else. So find what works for you and then just try to make it achievable.
Yep, that's great. I love that because I care for my husband, and quite often I feel a little bit smothered, or not smothered, but closed in, and
Yes.
So top 5 things is great. Sometimes I think I just really can't be bothered going out of the house, even though I know I should. But it can be a bit of a challenge when you're in a position where you need to care for somebody. So and I'm lucky I work from home, so it's not so hard.
Yes. Yeah, but I think mothers, they're not officially carers, right? But they're looking after young people all day, every day, often the logistics of the house, and there's a lot of pressures, and they never usually make time for themselves. So just small changes, can they catch their breath whilst the babies are having a sleep, or can they find that half an hour before anybody wakes up in the house just to pour into them so that they feel like their needs have been met for the morning? Can they pop out to a Pilates class? Can the dads look after the children at some point to help out, or can they pay a babysitter? Can they pay somebody or have a grandparent come over to give them that break? So yes, looking at your day, looking at your options, what can you make happen, but trying to do that, at least one thing if you can each day, or a few things during the week.
Great strategies, Carolyn. Thank you so much for sharing those.
Oh, you're welcome.
Carolyn, where can people find you if they would like to work with you, or, find a little bit out a bit more about health and wellness?
Yes, well, I will give you all my contact details, Rose, but people can find me, and my business name is called Inspired with the number 2, Nurture, because I'm really inspired to help people to nurture themselves and to look after themselves. So I am on Instagram as Inspired to Nurture. You will find me on LinkedIn. If you search corporate wellness, you'll find me there. And I have a private Facebook group that anybody is welcome to join, that I share every day health and wellbeing tips. And you can just reach out to me, send me a private message, and I'd love to jump on a call with you and see how we can work together, how I can help you perhaps make a few simple changes, but to have a massive shift.
Yeah, I'll put all those links into the show notes.
Terrific.
When this is put up. Carolyn, it's been an absolute pleasure. Have you got any hints or tips or something that you'd like to share with us today?
I think let's just re-emphasize the point that self-care doesn't just happen, that we need to be consciously aware of it and to try and schedule it in. That would be my takeaway.
Yeah.
And thanks again, Rose, so much for having me. It's been really great.
It's been a pleasure, Carolyn. Thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome.
You've been listening to Talking with the Experts, hosted by Rose Davidson. Make sure you have a look at our back catalogue over at talkingwiththeexperts.com. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any episode. We look forward to your company next time. Talking with the Experts.